Shalom and welcome, brothers in the faith. You are now tuned into Standing Watch over Yashar'el, a counter-strategy guide for men under surveillance. This is not just a teaching, it's spiritual intel for the women. Each week, we expose one of the 27 espionage tactics used by the enemy to infiltrate, deceive, and neutralize the set-apart men of Yahuah. In this war, your discernment must be sharp, your steps ordered, and your alliances holy. We're not here to react. We're here to respond with wisdom, truth, and spirit-led strategy. So grab your sword, the word of Yahuah, and let's move with purpose. Your vigilance is your weapon. Your obedience is your shield. Let's stand watch together.
SunTzu Strategy 18. Be subtle, and use your spies for every kind of business. Historical context and original meaning. Sun Tzu wrote these words in The Art of War during China's Warring States period, 475–21 BCE, a time when espionage was not just tactical but essential for survival. The repetition, be subtle, emphasizes that effective intelligence work requires extraordinary patience, discretion, and psychological sophistication. In ancient China, spies were categorized into 5 types. Local spies, inhabitants of the enemy territory. Internal spies, disaffected enemy officials. Double agents, enemy spies turned to work for you. Dead spies, agents who spread deliberate misinformation. Surviving spies, those who return with accurate intelligence. The phrase every kind of business in SunTzu's context meant all aspects of warfare. Logistics, troop movements, morale, supply lines, alliances, weather conditions, terrain advantages, and psychological vulnerabilities of enemy commanders. Interpretation through a modern lens, citizen spies context. This strategy is a call to radical and expansive subtlety that transcends its military origins and permeates modern society. The evolution of surveillance in contemporary society. Not only should spies be used, but they should be used for every kind of operation: covert, legal, religious, political, social, financial, and personal. This principle has been institutionalized in ways Sun Tzu could scarcely have imagined. Government and institutional applications. Educational institutions. Students monitored through digital learning platforms, behavioral tracking software, and confidential reporting systems. Corporate environments, employee surveillance through keystroke logging, email monitoring, social media vetting, and network analysis. Financial systems, transaction monitoring, credit scoring algorithms, and behavioral pattern recognition. Healthcare systems, patient data mining, predictive health modeling, and insurance risk assessment. Religious organizations, background checks for clergy, monitoring of extremist tendencies, and compliance reporting. The technological infrastructure of modern espionage. Artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms that predict behavior, identify patterns, and flag anomalies. Internet of Things, IoT, smart devices that continuously collect data on daily activities. Social media platforms, designed for maximum data extraction and psychological profiling. Biometric systems, facial recognition, voice analysis, and behavioral biometrics. Digital footprints, every online action tracked, stored, and analyzed. In modern terms, the application of this strategy has created what sociologists call the surveillance society, where surveillance and infiltration are not limited to national security. They are applied to schools, churches, protests, families, businesses, and even marriages. Everything becomes a potential mission. Everyone becomes a potential asset. In the spirit of Sun Tzu, local municipalities and secret societies now train individuals to think like spies in all areas of life, using subtlety as a virtue. The psychology of citizen spying. The effectiveness of this strategy depends on several psychological principles. Normalization through gradual implementation. Surveillance systems introduced incrementally to avoid resistance. incentive structures, financial rewards, social status, or ideological validation for informants. Compartmentalization. Agents only know small pieces of the larger operation. Moral justification. Framing surveillance as protection, security, or social responsibility. Peer pressure. Creating environments where non-participation becomes suspicious. For men of Yashar'el, this reveals why you may be spied on in multiple areas of life at once. Professional surveillance networks. HR departments, trained in behavioral analysis, risk assessment, and threat identification. Corporate security, external contractors and internal monitoring teams. Industry associations, information sharing between competing companies. Professional licensing boards, continuous monitoring and compliance verification. Religious and spiritual monitoring. Infiltrated assemblies, agents trained in theological discussion who gain trust over years. Digital monitoring, online forums, social media groups, and messaging apps under surveillance. Financial tracking, donation patterns and religious spending monitored. Network analysis, mapping social connections and influence patterns. Personal and family surveillance. Social networks, friends, neighbors, and extended family members pressured to report. Digital monitoring, smart home devices, location tracking, and communication interception. Financial surveillance, transaction monitoring and spending pattern analysis. Psychological profiling, behavioral analysis through digital interactions. The goal is total situational control through subtle infiltration, creating what intelligence agencies call total information awareness about targeted individuals and communities. Spiritual threat to Yashar'el. This reveals a spirit of deception and paranoia induction that operates on multiple levels. The psychological warfare component. When the enemy uses spies in every kind of business, it creates sophisticated psychological effects. Cognitive and emotional impact. Weariness and exhaustion. Constant vigilance drains mental and spiritual resources. Social isolation. Fear of betrayal leads to withdrawal from community relationships. Trust deficits. Difficulty distinguishing genuine fellowship from infiltration. Hypervigilance. Every interaction becomes subject to suspicion and analysis. Spiritual paranoia. Seeing potential threats in all circumstances and relationships. The strategy of overexposure. Data collection. Every action, word, and relationship documented and analyzed. Pattern recognition. Algorithms identify vulnerabilities and pressure points. Predictive modeling. Behavior anticipated and countermeasures prepared. Leverage development. Personal information used as potential coercion. Biblical warning against this spirit. Isaiah 29:15. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahuah, and their works are in the dark, and they say, Who seeth us? And who knoweth us? This verse addresses the false confidence of those who believe their covert operations escape divine notice. The spiritual reality is that all hidden things will eventually be brought into the light. Psalm 10:8-9. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. From the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. This describes the methodology of spiritual enemies who use stealth, patience, and strategic positioning to overcome their targets. The subtlety SunTzu praises is what Scripture often rebukes as craftiness and wicked cunning. Biblical parallel cases. The Gibeonite deception, Joshua 9. Strategic analysis. The Gibeonites employed sophisticated deception that demonstrates multiple aspects of strategy 18. Operational elements. Intelligence gathering. They knew Yashar'el's divine mandate regarding distant nations. Disguise and props. Worn-out clothing, moldy bread, worn wineskins, physical evidence supporting their deception. Story coordination, consistent narrative across all representatives. Emotional manipulation, appealed to Yashar'el's fear of making the same mistake as previous generations. Legal framework, requested a binding covenant before revealing the truth. Psychological tactics, authority bias, used formal representatives to create legitimacy. Consistency principle, all elements of their deception supported each other. Reciprocity tactic, implied they would serve Yashar'el in exchange for protection. Social proof, presented themselves as a legitimate political entity. Long-term consequences. Strategic limitation, Yashar'el could not attack cities they had sworn to protect. Political integration, Gibonites became permanent residents with special status. Religious compromise, Yashar'el had broken covenant faithfulness by not consulting Yahuah. Military impact, lost strategic advantages in the Central Hill country. Haman's multi-realm conspiracy, Esther 3:7. Comprehensive strategic analysis. Haman's plot demonstrates the application of espionage principles across multiple domains. Political infiltration. Position acquisition, attained second-in-command status in the empire. Relationship cultivation, built trust with King Ahasuerus through demonstrated loyalty. Network development, connected with nobles, princes, and military leaders. Legal manipulation, used Persian law to create irreversible decrees. Financial strategy, economic incentive, offered 10,000 talents of silver to fund the operation. Resource allocation, planned systematic seizure of Hebrew property. Economic warfare, understanding that eliminating Hebrews would transfer wealth to others. Psychological warfare, narrative construction, framed Hebrews as disloyal, rebellious, and economically harmful. Prejudice exploitation, tapped into existing xenophobic attitudes. Fear induction, created panic among non-Hebrew populations. Divisive tactics, set neighbor against neighbor for potential rewards. Spiritual dimensions, temporal selection, chose date through casting lots per, invoking spiritual forces. Cultural attack, targeted unique Hebrew practices and identity. Generational destruction, planned elimination of women, children, and elderly. Counterespionage elements. Queen Esther's strategic positioning, used royal status for intelligence gathering. Mordecai's network, communication system outside official channels. Timing reversal, used Haman's own timing against him. Information control, managed revelation of information for maximum impact. Satan's multi-role espionage strategy, biblical survey. Comprehensive role analysis. Satan demonstrates mastery of strategy 18 through diverse operational personas. The accuser, Job 1-2, Revelation 12:10. Intelligence collection, detailed knowledge of human behavior and weaknesses. Legal framework, operates within heavenly courtroom system. Character attack, challenges integrity and motives of the faithful. Evidence presentation, brings accusations before divine authority. The tempter, Matthew 4, Genesis 3. Vulnerability assessment, identifies specific areas of weakness. Customized approach, tailors temptation to individual circumstances. Truth distortion, mixes truth with deception for maximum effectiveness. Timing precision, strikes at moments of physical, emotional, or spiritual vulnerability. The deceiver, 2 Corinthians 11:14, Revelation 12:9. Disguise mastery, appears as angel of light or messenger of truth. Doctrinal infiltration, introduces subtle errors into religious teaching. Cultural adaptation, adjusts deception to match contemporary thinking. Long-term strategy, plants falsehoods that mature over generations. The adversary, 1 Peter 5:8. Strategic positioning seeks optimal opportunities for attack. Pattern recognition identifies behavioral patterns that indicate vulnerability. Patience and persistence, willing to wait extended periods for advantage. Coordinated attack often combines multiple pressure points simultaneously. The divider, John 10:10, Matthew 24:12. Relationship targeting sows discord between believers. Communication interference distorts understanding and creates misinterpretation. Leadership undermining attacks confidence in spiritual authorities. Community fragmentation breaks unity through misunderstanding and offense. Counter-strategy for Yashar'el. Spiritual warfare response. 1. Comprehensive covering prayer strategy. Pray for covering in every area of your life: spiritual, mental, financial, relational. Psalm 121:7-8 application. Yahuah shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahuah shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, and even forevermore. Practical implementation. Morning protection. Prayer covering before daily activities and interactions. Travel protection. Specific prayer for movement between locations and meetings. Communication shield. Prayer for divine wisdom in all conversations. Relationship guarding. Prayer for protection of marriage, family, and fellowship bonds. Financial sanctuary. Prayer for divine protection of resources and provision. Digital prayer. Prayer for protection in online interactions and data security. 2. Comprehensive weapon declaration. Declare that no weapon formed in any realm shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17 strategic application. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahuah, and their righteousness is of me, saith Yahuah. Multi-realm declaration framework. Digital weapons, data mining, algorithms, tracking systems, and online attacks. Relational weapons, betrayal, manipulation, false accusations, and character assassination. Financial weapons, economic sabotage, job loss, business disruption, and resource depletion. Legal weapons, false charges, regulatory harassment, and bureaucratic obstacles. Psychological weapons, mental attacks, emotional manipulation, and spiritual warfare. Physical weapons, health attacks, environmental hazards, and direct physical threats. 3. Divine frustration strategy. Ask Yahuah to frustrate the subtle plans of the enemy in all fields. Psalm 33:10 implementation. Yahuah bringeth the counsel of the heathen to naught. He maketh the devices of the people of none effect. Specific frustration prayers. Intelligence confusion. Prayer that enemy spies receive misinformation and flawed analysis. Network disruption. Prayer that communication systems between adversarial agents fail. Resource diversion. Prayer that enemy resources are wasted on ineffective operations. Timing disruption. Prayer that enemy operations miss critical windows of opportunity. Unity destruction. Prayer that enemy alliances fracture through internal conflict. Technology failure. Prayer that surveillance systems experience technical difficulties. Practical/strategic response. 1. Multi-layered protection mindset. Adopt a multi-layered protection mindset. Use discretion in all realms, not just spiritual ones. Personal security protocols. Information classification. Categorize all information by sensitivity level and sharing necessity. Need to know principle. Only share information with those who have legitimate need to know. Compartmentalization. Separate different aspects of life to minimize cross-contamination. Digital hygiene. Regular security audits of devices, accounts, and online presence. Physical security. Home security measures, travel protocols, and meeting location selection. Professional protection measures. Documentation practices. Keep detailed records of all professional interactions and decisions. Communication channels. Use secure methods for sensitive discussion. Behavioral consistency. Maintain professional boundaries in all workplace interactions. Network analysis. Regular assessment of professional relationships and potential vulnerabilities. Legal awareness. Understanding rights and protections in workplace contexts. 2. Comprehensive data management. Keep detailed records, encrypt sensitive data, avoid emotional outbursts, and guard conversations. Record-keeping systems. Interaction logs. Detailed notes on significant conversations and meetings. Decision documentation. Written records of important decisions and rationales. Timeline maintenance. Chronological record of significant events and developments. Evidence preservation. Secure storage of documents, communications, and other evidence. Backup systems. Redundant storage of critical information in multiple secure locations. Encryption and security protocols. Digital encryption. Use end-to-end encryption for sensitive communications. Password management. Complex, unique passwords with two-factor authentication. Device security. Full disk encryption, regular security updates, and secure deletion. Network security. VPN usage, secure Wi-Fi practices, and network monitoring. Physical encryption. Locked storage for sensitive physical documents and devices. 3. Digital discipline strategy. Do not overshare online or in casual environments. Social media protocols. Privacy settings. Maximum privacy settings on all social media platforms. Content filtering. Avoid sharing location, routine, relationship, or opinion information. Network curation. Regularly review and remove questionable connections. Posting delays. Delay posting about events until after they conclude. Profile minimization. Limit personal information in public profiles. Communication guidelines. Platform selection. Choose communication platforms based on security requirements. Message content. Avoid sensitive topics in insecure communication channels. Response discipline. Avoid immediate emotional responses to provocations. Information verification. Confirm source and necessity before sharing information. Digital footprint awareness. Assume all digital communications are potentially accessible. 4. Community training and preparedness. Train your household and assembly to recognize manipulative agents or tactics posing as helpers. Recognition training components. Behavioral indicators. Teaching identification of inconsistent or suspicious behavior. Questioning techniques. Methods for testing authenticity and intentions. Pressure point analysis. Understanding how manipulation exploits specific vulnerabilities. Timeline awareness. Recognizing when relationship development seems unusually rapid. Resource offering patterns. Identifying when help comes with unexplained strings attached. Defensive community structures. Vetting procedures. Systematic evaluation of new members or significant relationships. Mentorship systems. Established believers guiding newer members in relationship wisdom. Accountability partners. Mutual monitoring and protection within trusted relationships. Information sharing. Secure channels for sharing concerns about suspicious behavior. Crisis protocols. Pre-planned responses to confirmed infiltration or manipulation attempts. Summary Strategy 18 Recap. Comprehensive Strategy Matrix. Espionage Tactics Spiritual Danger Biblical Counter Practical Application. Deploy spies in every sector using deep subtlety and disguise exhaustion, confusion, distrust. Attacks in all life areas Psalm 121, 7-8, Joshua 9, Esther 3:7, Isaiah 29, 15, Psalm 33. 10 multi-layered security protocols, comprehensive prayer covering community training. Systematic surveillance through digital and human networks, privacy erosion, psychological pressure, relationship damage. Daniel 6:4, Proverbs 4:23, Matthew 10:16. Digital hygiene, information classification, secure communication practices. Infiltration through seemingly helpful relationships, trust manipulation, spiritual compromise, strategic deception. 2 Corinthians 11:14, Galatians 2:4, Acts 20:29. Relationship vetting, behavioral analysis, accountability systems. Financial and resource pressure through coordinated action, economic warfare, provision disruption, dependency creation. Malachi 3:10, Philippians 4:19, 2 Corinthians 9:8. Diversified resources, financial sanctuary planning, community support networks. Legal and bureaucratic harassment through systematic abuse, rights erosion, institutional manipulation, time resource depletion. Acts 5:29, Exodus 1:17, Daniel 3:12-18. Legal knowledge, documentation practices, rights advocacy. Psychological warfare through information distortion, mental exhaustion, decision paralysis, identity confusion. Isaiah 26:3, Philippians 4:6-8, 2 Timothy 1:7. Mental discipline, spiritual grounding, community support. Key implementation principles. Spiritual foundation. Divine awareness. Yahuah sees and knows all covert operations. Sovereign protection. Ultimate security comes from divine relationship. Wisdom application. Biblical principles applied to contemporary challenges. Community strength. Unity provides protection against division tactics. Practical execution. Layered defense. Multiple security measures providing redundancy. Continuous awareness. Ongoing vigilance without becoming paranoid. Adaptive response. Flexibility to counter evolving tactics. Strategic patience. Long-term perspective rather than reactive responses. Balance maintenance. Openness versus security. Maintaining fellowship while exercising wisdom. Trust versus discernment. Balancing relational trust with spiritual discernment. Engagement vs. Protection. Participating in society while maintaining boundaries. Transparency versus opacity. Appropriate sharing without unnecessary vulnerability. This comprehensive strategy enables Yashar'el to navigate the complex landscape of modern surveillance and infiltration while maintaining spiritual integrity, community unity, and effective ministry impact. The combination of divine protection, biblical wisdom, and practical security measures provides a holistic approach to countering the sophisticated application of SunTzu's Strategy 18 in contemporary contexts.
The war we face is not always loud, but it is always real. You were not chosen to live blindfolded or bound. You were chosen to stand, to watch, and to move in wisdom. Stay anchored in the Word, led by the Ruach, and never forget, Yahuah sees every scheme. He hears every whisper, and He defends those who fear Him. We are not outnumbered, we are outwatched. And that's why we stand on the wall. Until next time, stay sober, stay set apart, and stay hidden in Him.